Hello, Vincent.
Hey, what's up, Zeke?
So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions.
I'm here. I'm an open book.
Sounds good. First question is, what is the first thing you do when you wake up?
Usually, how I get it started, I instantly have a reoccurring pack of instant Vietnamese coffee that I buy. I immediately boil water and start getting that going. I stir up and I down it.
Sounds delish. What's a skill that you have that usually people don't expect?
I think a huge thing that people don't necessarily expect, especially when they first meet me, and I'm trying to say this in a great way, but I have a tendency of being able to meet new people in a way that allows both of us to feel like we've known each other forever. Just a very comforting open book to
So
talk to.
you can make anyone comfortable, huh? So how did you get involved with Social Valley?
Well, it all started, I was living with my best friend Zeke, and we started off with my birthday. Actually, we were creating this event, V Fest, for Vincent Fest, and we essentially turned Halloween weekend, which is when my birthday is, where when we were in college, there's a whole lot of parties and things going on, and we turned into a citywide scavenger hunt where we put in real incentives for our friends to compete against each other, and it ended up being really well, so well that we never stopped talking about the idea as a whole, and it just continuously bled into me studying marketing and Zeke studying computer science, where we're eventually, after months of backyard discussions, started truly fleshing it out into a real app.
Backyard discussions. That's where it happens.
It's where it all happens.
So what is the problem that Social Valley is trying to solve?
Well, we're really trying to solve the problem with fatigue coming from ad driven websites and ad driven platforms where we see users and creators both feeling like their participation holds no weight. We see that people like the creators are only making 40 cents per thousand views. And this is what leads to these social platforms being the category graveyard.
Oh, the category graveyard. I completely agree. Was there a specific moment you realized um from initial backyard birthday into something bigger?
I think it really was, there was a good period of time where we were very committed and we deeply were spending hours and hours every single day working towards this and canvassing. I was out canvassing while classes were taking a break, and I was asking people everywhere all the time how they felt about social media, how they felt about community and their personal lives. And more, I heard answers from the market that were coming back, all pointing to our idea really truly being realized and people seeing our vision as well.
Wow, obsession really talking to everyone.
You got to be obsessed.
So if there was like a company or brand that you who or what person or company, right, that you would wish to collaborate with Social Valley?
Are you talking more like later in the game with event-based collaborations or right now? Like,
Just like top of your head, like that happened anytime or future, whatever you think is, if you're in the future or if you're in the present, either or.
I think, funnily enough, what works with us isn't necessarily a brand I'd like to see us collaborating with, but a huge part will be on the creators themselves, on creators that already have made a name for themselves outside of our company. And they have thriving communities where I see Social Valley perfectly blending into that market and being more of a tool for these creators and these artists and anyone in who are leaders of their community space. We set ourselves to be a tool for them.
And how would they benefit from it?
I think we really draw a new level of interest and a new level of incentives that normal event hosting platforms, which are, inherently connected to a lot of these artists and creators in their spaces, we draw in new incentives and new ways for them to creatively bring in their audience. I feel like we're stepping away, especially with how expensive some of these things are, from a place where a lot of events that are privately hosted are kind of advertising as a way for you to buy in just to do it. And we have real incentives. We bring that to the table.
Mm. So, what would you say is the hardest or easiest part of like trying to put that all together and build it with not just yourself, but also Zeke?
Well, I think in order to talk about the hardest parts, I have to bring up what wasn't. And what wasn't the hardest parts, luckily, was especially bringing up Zeke, our bond, and how long we've known each other, and really how long we've developed our ability to play off of each other's ideas. And I think that has gone through and shined through the development of Social Valley.
Mm.
And I feel like that's led us to a place where we are today, where really our biggest challenge is the cold start problem, is convincing people to hop on this and start using it when our our model isn't instant. Like, people aren't going to instantly start creating their own events. We have to host our own and almost, pipeline the way to use.
So, what makes you say you and Zeke are the perfect people to even tackle such a hard problem?
I think growing up in the Bay Area has given us a huge lens on not only just the tech scene and Silicon Valley, which is where, I think a lot of our ideas on how we can answer the problem, solve the problem that we have, come through. And, that comes through at the end of the day still apps and web development, and that's the area we've grown up in, the industry we've come to know. However, there's something about the Bay Area, and there's something about how me and Zeke managed to go through our formative years in the Bay Area, where we've been a part of many different cultural movements, from hard rock live band scene to artistry to clothes making, and all of these people themselves come from their own backgrounds, especially in the Bay Area, where they all come from a lot of time different countries, and their families have completely different cultures. But the Bay Area has a way of combining those into being a greater sense of community. And it really teaches a lot of the people who come to grow up here how to kind of deeply understand what greater society at large truly craves. And I think time and time again, whether it's hosting our own events separate of Social Valley, where me and Zeke would have our own music endeavors, or we, other events like that in the past, to knowing the people who organize clothing events and talking with them, and we just have an in-depth understanding of a lot of different cultural movements, and I think we know how to put them together.
So many types of cultures in and outside of the Bay that you want to bring and create for other people, right?
Yeah, essentially, I feel like having a pipeline um, space for people to do that, and one that brings in fun, lighthearted incentives, is amazing. And people love a challenge.
Mm. Off topic. What's a memorable event or journey that like helped you get inspired to create ideas and with Zeke too?
I think we've definitely had many memorable journeys, but one that I believe truly shaped us, funnily enough, was when we both went to New York City right after high school. We were 18, we saved up what we could, and we went and we slept at someone's house that we met online. And the thing is, though, is they really showed us just a greater world at large. I think there was a huge time, especially right after high school, where we had these great ideas and we were always talking about doing things, but we had a very linear concept of what that looks like. And this journey, being able to go over there and meet people, cultural leaders of New York that happened to just let us stay at their place and really show us things about, these people are, they're deeply, lack of a better word, tapped in with their cultures, with um, either their clothing or music. All of these people now we see go on, they've shown us a path. One of our people we were sleeping with, they fully had now have their own creative brand who is very successful. There's our another friend who she has a very successful DJing career. And a lot of these people really, they just showed us that it's not as linear as we would assume. And I think that opening up of our worldview has led us here.
Damn, sounds like a heartful memory and journey you guys had.
Oh, it was beautiful.
So moving forward, not off topic, but with that, moving for what would you want Social Valley to feel like in like 3 years? You'd say.
I'd say in 3 years, I see Social Valley as becoming a ingrained, kind of an ingrained movement as a platform. And a lot of these, of course, our main market are Gen Z in big cities. And I see us being a cultural foundation in a lot of these big cities where people aren't surprised when their friend tells them, in order to go to this function, you should join join the event on Social Valley. And I see a world where that's really not much to people, and honestly, to the other extent where people are excited about that, where of course after our cold start and people are able to host their own events with their own prize pools, I see where this happens a lot of the times where we create the tool and the it allows the users to use their own creativity and see where that thrives. I do deeply appreciate how in the structure of our app, we are not telling people in a linear way a specific way to hold these events. It really is just a tool and people get to use their creativity.
Hmm, tool. Um, Based on that tool, Social Valley, what do you think is the biggest risk it could face?
I think our biggest risk personally has to come with not necessarily us, however, the baggage that comes along with platforms that do give monetary value out back to its users. I think, it draws on feelings of things like HQ Trivia that really failed because they didn't have a proper user cycle and they definitely didn't have a proper in-house economic cycle. And I think the criticism from the outside, from someone who just read the headline, would maybe get drawn in by the baggage that those places have already accrued. But our idea, however, is so different, and we do have differing strengths where once someone gets over that initial step, that's really just the hardest part right there.
Hmm. So, what are you personally excited for the future of Social Valley currently?
Currently, I'm really excited for just a lot that we have planned out. We already have multiple people who are working with us and trying to get an event secured. We have someone who is deeply um, rooted into the Bay Area music scene, who has already hosted events, who has already knows artists who would be more than happy to work with us. I think we have interviews with places that are looking, to take us further, with places that see our vision, see our idea, and they're with us to take us further. And I really do see, in sooner than later, once this really gets started, that it's an instant type of start. That I think our cold start problem is where once we do get started, now we are just like, it's gonna be hot. Like, I think it should be going.
Mm. So before we end this off, anything else you want to say?
Personally, I'd say I've just been loving the journey. I've really been loving, everything we're doing, and I just, every day, the more we discuss it, the more we workshop everything, it's not making me more worried, but it's making me way more excited about the future of Social Valley.
Well, thank you, Vinny. Goodbye.
Yes, well, thank you. Goodbye.